Going on, everyone? John Matrix here. Hope you're all having yourselves a wonderful day. We're going to be jumping back into the SCP universe with the Exploring series here. We're going to check out SCP-7819, No Vacancy. This is a requested video by a member of the community, and as always, links will be down below in the description to the original video here, without my commentary and reaction, and to the Exploring series channel. Please do me the favor of clicking those links. If you enjoy this video, give it a like, and if you enjoy the Exploring series content, please do me the favor of going over there and giving the man a sub if you're not subbed to him already. He makes a lot of wonderful content for the SCP universe as well as others, so please do me the favor, go over there, check out his channel, and give him a sub if you're not subbed to him already. Don't really have any kind of knowledge of what this video could potentially be about, so we're just going to go ahead and jump on into it here. So again, this is SCP-7819, No Vacancy. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get this bread. Oh, well, the monitor's not showing up. Hold up. Gotta fix this. I don't know why this does it sometimes. There you go, OBS. All right, let's go.
SCP-7819, No Vacancy. Living in a society means living by rules. Some of them spoken, but many of them unspoken. Every interaction we have with another person or with an establishment is predicated on the idea of rules and procedures, most of which we take for granted, and many of which don't necessarily have to be followed, but it's best practice for politeness and to keep things running smoothly. Checking in and staying at a hotel is one such interaction you might have that features a number of spoken and unspoken rules that we as a society have come to understand and accept. SCP-7819 takes this process, checking in and staying at a small roadside motel, and adds some more rules to the process.
Interesting.
A lot, in fact.
Okay.
And they're quite specific. Let's take a look. SCP-7819 is a predatory location manifesting along exits of the U.S. highway system, generally appearing as a small roadside motel or hotel, always called the Rest Easy Inn.
Interesting. So, obviously we're just at the beginning of this video, but the idea is that the SCP itself is, I assume, some kind of entity that manifests itself as some kind of out in the middle of nowhere roadside motel hotel, always with this specific name. He says it's predatory, so I assume that means if you don't follow whatever the specific rules are that it expects you to, it will eat you, consume you, kill you. Interesting. Oh, that's why it's synthesized so much for the earlier stuff. Gotcha.
In order for this location to manifest for a driver, several conditions have to be met, including the driver being alone, the time being between midnight and 4 a.m., the driver had to have been driving for at least 5 hours previously.
Interesting.
And most curiously, the driver has to be either currently a Foundation employee or has been one in the past.
This sounds like conditions in like some kind of, Skyrim or MMO game where you're trying to find like some kind of secret boss lair. It's, you got to do it between the hours of this and that, so you got to make sure you hit the rest so you can hit the specific time. You got to be by yourself. You can't have any of your party members with you. You got to be wearing this specific gear, etc., etc.,
Upon driving near the location, the driver will begin to feel a deep-seated sense of fatigue and tiredness, although it's currently unclear on whether or not this is an anomalous phenomenon or just a natural reaction to driving for several hours and seeing an opportunity for a break. This fatigue will continue until the driver exits the highway and pulls into the parking lot of the inn. If, however, they do not, and continue on, this sense of fatigue will remain, and more anomalously, their vehicle will be seamlessly transported several miles backward, often without the driver's realization.
What?
They will then see the inn again, and should they continue to drive past it, the process will repeat until they get off the highway and park in the inn's parking lot.
So, if these conditions are met and this hotel appears, it essentially traps them in a repeating a current space, whatever you want to call it, until they actually pull in. Like, so does that mean like time will also keep repeating itself, right? Like time won't go past a certain spot or something like that? Is it a situation where if you just like keep ignoring it infinitely, you'll just keep going around in this loop until you actually park in there? Interesting.
Other action will allow them to break the cycle, and the only way to break free from the phenomenon
I haven't seen this one before. Maybe it's something that might have been referenced in another video, but this isn't one that I've seen before.
entirely is to park, enter the inn, and perform several specific activities. What follows is a SCP-7819 survival guide, compiled through a number of prior experiences that various Foundation employees have had and documented. It would seem that one has to be rather careful and specific about their actions in the inn in order to.
I was going to say the only other thing that sounds somewhat similar to this that I've gone over is the IKEA SCP anomaly, where, you know, people get trapped in this like Walking Dead kind of world that's in an IKEA in another dimension. And when they exit, they might be in some kind of random alternate universe if they're able to actually make it out. That's the only thing that sounds somewhat similar to this at the moment.
To actually leave. And the document recommends that if you are in this situation, to remain calm and not rush, as accuracy and efficiency is more important for survival than speed. To begin with, you should bring your car into an empty parking space, trying to select one that's surrounded by other vehicles, as separating yourself from the pack would only attract attention.
Interesting.
Once you've done so, take only what you need from your car, such as the device you're reading this document on, your keys, your purse or wallet, and a bag containing some toiletries and essentials. Luggage and clothing will only slow you down, and be sure that if you have a firearm, you do not take it with you.
Okay.
Before entering, you should spend some time in the parking lot, observing the other parked cars. You will see some oddities, such as wheels made of wood, unclear jumbles where logos and brand marks should be, and shapes or designs that do not correspond to any actual vehicles. You should also avoid looking through any of the windows. If there's a large...
Yeah, it does. It does have a very back rooms kind of escape room feel to it. Where you have to like, you gotta make sure you park in a specific spot that's surrounded by other vehicles. Take your time, only take certain things with you, something that's not going to slow you down. You know, don't bring a firearm. Make sure you pay attention to your surroundings, you know, be very slow, methodical, and observant. I don't know. Yeah, it has that escape room kind of feel to it.
Large burning vehicle in the parking lot, definitely do not investigate it. And if at all possible, pretend it isn't even there.
Okay.
You should also enter the lobby before the fire goes out. In an entry from Foundation researcher Adam Middleton, he says that he followed...
The question that I have is like, who has been locked in this SCP enough times to observe these things and have seen all the various outcomes to be able to write these rules down? Like, if you see this car on fire, don't pay attention to it, but make sure you get in the hotel lobby before the fire goes out. You don't want to deal with that shit.
Followed this protocol, pulling his vehicle into the last parking spot available in the lot. He grabbed the few things he had and exited his vehicle, finding himself parked next to a big Dodge Caravan.
It almost kind of has like a video game feel of like, okay, let me go over and look at this. Oh, you died. Okay, let me try this again. Oh, you died.
Before realizing that it's more like if you described a caravan to someone, and they described it to someone else, who made a model of it out of paper mache. He accidentally knocked his hand against it and found that it was made out of some kind of plaster, and it was hollow. He started investigating the other cars then, finding them all to be odd like this. The logos and designs looked like cars he knew growing up, but upon closer inspection, they're all nonsensical. He wasn't frightened or anything, but it put him on edge, like when you know that someone is trying to put you at ease. After entering into the lobby of the inn, you should make your way to the front desk, which will be unoccupied. You may ring the bell once if the sound brings you comfort, but you should wait there without exiting the lobby, and you should hum your favorite song to yourself as you wait.
Interesting.
The silence in the lobby has been described.
What if you hum your not favorite song? You know, what if you hum something else? What if you just hum something random? It's things like this, like, that make me wonder, like, what if you do other specific things, what will happen, you know? Just because of my curiosity.
As oppressive, but make sure to stop humming once you become aware of the noises coming from behind the counter. At that point, hop over the counter, where you'll find a closed door, rattling as though someone is on the other side. Listen to the sounds being made and write them down. When the sounds get louder, repeatedly slam your fist against the door, making sure not to speak.
It almost sounds like a game of Clue or something like that, right? Like you're in some kind of like board game and you're trying to figure out, I don't know, what the objective is. I don't know.
Eventually, you'll be slipped a key to a room, although this may not work on the first attempt, so repeat the process until you succeed, at which point say thank you and depart. Agent Mari Kyer noted that she heard pretty filthy noises coming from the other side, although they were soft enough that she had to press her ear against the door to hear anything. They were wet, slapping sounds, like someone thumping a drenched towel against the ground, over and over. That's what it was. Along with a periodic wet coughing and a moaning. The moaning sounds were like someone in pain, as if they're starving to death, and it rises and falls in pitch. There's also someone whispering, and sometimes the moaning and whispering and coughing are all at the same time, making her wonder how many people are on the other side. She tried rattling the doorknob and the sounds all stopped, except for the moaning. After a few seconds, the noises resumed. The room key you will be given will inevitably be for a higher floor, and since you will be unable to find stairs, you'll have to use the elevator. You'll notice that the elevator buttons are in an inexplicable pattern with unclear writing on them, so you should just press whichever one feels right. There will never be another person in the
I believe it's implied or stated these were learned by trial and error of different people that pass through here. Right.
Elevator with you, so if you do see someone, be aware that they are not human. Do not stop looking at them, and always stand with your back against a wall. If the figure resembles an older, clean-cut man wearing an expensive suit and overcoat, do not even enter the elevator. The figure will smile at you, compliment your appearance, and hold the door for you, repeatedly attempting to convince you to enter. Make sure to politely but firmly tell it that you are just passing through, and you'll wait for the next one, and stand beyond the threshold of the elevator, as it will not be able to pursue you. Eventually, the figure will move on. If the figure instead resembles a middle-aged woman in hiking gear, you may enter and take the elevator to your destination, although the ride will take much longer than it should, up to half an hour. Reciprocate the woman's attempts to make conversation, but do not be honest with her whatsoever. Instead, lie openly and brazenly about every possible detail, including obvious ones such as your ethnicity and age. If the figure instead resembles a young vagrant, it is safe to enter the elevator. The figure will not speak, but may offer you a hug, which you may or may not accept at your discretion. When you arrive at your floor, they may offer a small trinket, such as a tin duck or a ceramic ashtray, which you should accept gratefully and keep close at hand. Senior researcher Amir Marahi notes that his nerves were on fire when the elevator opened, and he fortunately got the vagrant instead of the Wall Street anglerfish. They were dressed in clothes completely worn through, looking no more than 19 or 20 years old. During the ride, the vagrant reached out, and Amir let him hug him, noting that it was a proper hug, which he hasn't had in a long time. The vagrant didn't say anything, instead just hugging him for a few seconds, as if he knew that he needed it. He then stepped back, handed him a matchbox filled with leaves, and Amir got off the elevator. Following these instructions correctly, you will exit out of the elevator into a hallway of some kind. Your room key will be useless in locating your room, with it either having no number on it or having an impossible number on it.
Starting random
Instead,
things.
your room will make itself known to you when you find it, so you should begin walking down the hall. You should resist the urges to investigate the other rooms, as the doors have peepholes in them, and making eye contact may invite unwelcome attention. Instead, keep your eyes focused down, and ignore any feeling of being observed as you proceed.
It almost feels like this is some kind of like this motel travels between different realities and dimensions, and then like all of these creatures in here are beings that are from alternate realities and things like that. Some of them may have taken residence in this SCP and use it as a way of, I don't know, means of hunting, gaining food, whatever, sustenance. I don't know. It's very strange but intriguing so far.
You should also avoid making any noises, as the other guests are sleeping. The hallway will generally not be linear, and you may find various other spaces along the way.
Yeah.
Eventually,
Going throughout a while, I guess, maybe some fairy shit going around. Sounds weirdly similar to the forest, but also different. Yeah, the whole, very specific rules that also seem very random is strange. Like, the whole idea of, make sure you go into the lobby, you hit the receptionist bell, but only hit it once. Then make sure you hum your favorite tune. Once you start hearing noises, jump over the counter, bang on a door a couple times. If it doesn't happen the first time, repeat the process. Then you get a key, then you say thank you. Go to an elevator. If you see this person, definitely don't enter. If you see this person, you can enter, but make sure you lie to them. And then if you see this person, it's safe for you to do whatever you want to. They might want to give you a hug. You can take it or not, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It's very strange, but also very intriguing. What does it all mean? Does it have any purpose, or does it not? And what happens if you don't follow these rules specifically? I would assume you get killed, eaten, trapped in this motel or something like that. Turned into one of these other creatures or something. I don't know, but weirdly liminal space with very specific rules to navigate it. Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like it is kind of like a backroom space, but with a lot more stuff to it. I don't know.
Eventually, though, you'll arrive at a crossroads, which will occur regardless of whether the exterior topology of the inn allows for them, meaning that they're suspected to be incongruous spaces. As such, it's advised not to remain in them for more than a few minutes, with personnel who have remained longer reporting dull headaches and paranoia. This is best addressed by picking a random direction and walking down the hall, and although it's unclear whether the inn adapts to one's mind or the other way around, this has been the most effective method for arriving at one's room. As for which room is yours, the document only says that you'll know it when you see it.
Interesting.
Officer Louis DeLeon reported that they walked along the hallways for at least 40 minutes, seeing nothing but endless shag carpet, flickering yellow lighting, and crappy commercial art on the walls. He thought it would just be one long hallway, which it was at first, but then it took a sharp right turn, and then a left, then down a set of stairs, past a smoking lounge, through a little walkway. It didn't have any kind of sense or consistency to the construction, instead feeling like a weird amalgamation of every hotel he's ever been in, glued together without thought. Eventually, it started to get really...
That is also another interesting kind of point. I wonder if it's a situation where whatever this SCP is creating this hotel based off of experiences that you've had from other previous hotels. Like an amalgamation of, other things from other hotels you've seen in your mind, kind of a situation.
Really bizarre, with the carpet going from drab beige to the pattern you might find on bus seats, and curtains nailed into the walls. Every successive set of doors kept getting lifted a few inches off the ground until they were literally halfway into the ceiling. He remarks that this isn't a place people were meant to be. Once you use your key and enter your
I
room,
mean, that's a nice ass room right there, I'm not gonna lie.
you will immediately feel a chillness in the air, but that's normal. Don't close the door behind you until you have turned on all of the lights and ensured that you're alone in the room. There may also be a door to an adjoining room. If so, move a piece of furniture in front of it or otherwise barricade it. The layout of the room will vary and may be bizarre, such as having mismatched furniture sets, dozens of chairs filling the room, or being difficult to traverse, but you should do your best to get comfortable. Note that the bathroom may be locked from the inside, but that's only a problem if you suspect that someone is inside, in which case you should bar the door to the best of your ability.
What are you supposed to do if you gotta go fucking take a piss then? Like, what?
You may keep the lights on or dim them, but either way you should get into a bed and pull the covers over yourself. If the room has a television, you may turn it on to calm yourself, with personnel suggesting that home and garden television delivers the best results. Eventually, you'll fall asleep. Researcher Brett Stevens reported that his room had 3 beds, fanned out and facing a single point, along with a microwave that wasn't even plugged in. He says that it was absolutely baffling, like it was designed by a person with no understanding of how humans lived. After making sure that everything was fine, he went into the bathroom, finding that all of the fixtures were fake, with the plumbing unattached and the toilet and shower made out of plywood.
Nice.
It was hardly the weirdest thing he'd experienced so far, but for some reason it messed with him. He got out and slipped into bed, feeling insanely tired almost immediately despite the circumstances, barely keeping his eyes open. Right as he was drifting off, though, it occurred to him that he hadn't checked under the beds. When you wake up, you'll find yourself in the hotel's hot tub, being physically awake but mentally exhausted. There will be no one else around you in the pool area, and a small radio set on a nearby table may be playing a song from your childhood with a poor quality signal. You should try to tune it better if you can, but don't change the station, with the document repeating this instruction to emphasize its importance. You may exit the hot tub and inspect the main pool, which will generally be of a strange shape and construction. You will find that the surface of the water has formed a thick, tight membrane that prevents objects from breaking through it, so don't step into the water as you will drown.
Yeah.
Underneath the membrane, you may see shapes moving around, but just ignore them. At this point, you should re-enter the hot tub, this time fully submerging yourself. Once you go under, it will not feel warm at all, but rather painfully, bitingly cold, as though it were ice water. You should ignore this feeling and open your eyes, finding that the tub descends several feet deeper than expected. Swim to the bottom and grab the small object you see lying on the floor and inspect it after emerging from the water.
Bro, what is going on? This is so strange. Like, how are you supposed to know and figure this stuff out? Like, on your first attempt at going through, you know what I mean? Like, is this supposed to be something where it's like based off of feeling and intuition, and then like the motel makes things based off of your feelings and intuitions so that you can like follow it to get out or something? Like, there's so many things you're supposed to do specifically and not do specifically that it just feels like it will be almost impossible for someone to be able to actually get out of here. If that indeed obviously is what you're trying, supposed to do. I don't know. But like, yeah, it's very strange. Yeah, this is some weird shit, dude.
You will then find your clothes neatly folded on a nearby table, so you should dry and redress yourself before heading back to your room. Agent Sabrina Maxwell notes how much she likes hotel pools, which are usually devoid of other patrons.
It almost really does kind of feel that way. It feels like it's almost like you're a rat in a maze and it's testing how you react to different stimuli. Like, it really does kind of feel that way. And like, if you do a certain thing right, you get to go to the next stage. And if you don't, then like you're killed or something. I don't know.
Allowing her to have a nice, calming space to be alone in. She says that this wasn't like that, though, instead feeling wrong in some interminable, indescribable way. Every facet of it seemed designed for maximum discomfort, with the echo bouncing off the ceiling and water being close enough to your own voice to trip you up. The angles and contours of the pool were unnatural, like someone had never seen a pool before, and there were literally hundreds of life preservers hanging off the walls. She states that the main pool was unnerving, with everything under the surface appearing blurry and hard to make out, and there were 3 or 4 indistinct shapes moving around, swimming back and forth. One of them looked like another person, so she put her hand against the surface of the water, at which point the figure swam up and pressed its palm where hers was, holding it there for a moment. Then it started slamming its fists against the membrane wildly, trying to tear through it, and she could hear it screeching from under the water.
The fuck?
She screamed, moved backwards, grabbed her things, and ran.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she only checked out the main pool after grabbing the object from the bottom of the hot tub, which turned out to be her engagement ring that she lost years ago after flushing it down the toilet of a hotel. On your way back to your room, you will pass by the breakfast area attached to the lobby.
Oh, we get a free continental breakfast?
Still be night outside, it will be open and the lights will be on.
Fuck
You should
yeah,
enter,
dude.
finding a large amount of food laid out on the counters. Most of it will be inedible in some form, and whatever is edible should be ignored. The document emphasizes that you should not feel guilty about doing so, suggesting that something bad will occur if you do feel guilty, and instead make your way to the only other person in the breakfast area. You should join them at their table as they eat, and they will attempt to persuade you to stay. Politely but firmly deny them, which will make your head hurt, but this is necessary should you actually wish to leave the place. They will repeatedly do this, and you must repeatedly deny them until they stop asking. Technician David Dominguez reports that the breakfast area was filled with plastic fruit, styrofoam waffles, and muddy water instead of coffee.
I mean, it really is like someone like because there's so many things that are made out of like random materials. The bathroom being made out of like plywood, the cars and whatnot being made out of like plaster. Like it's almost like a movie set, right? It's like something fake that someone's put together to make it seem as real as possible because they don't know like what these objects really are. So it's just like being made out of someone's memories or thoughts or something like that, or what they think they are. I don't know. And like all the food here is like plastic and whatnot. It's very strange. The rooms being made in weird ways. A room having 3 beds. I don't know. This is a very strange SCP. And again, it's like on top of all these weird things being made out of weird materials, it's you having to follow specific sets of directions or it seems like you're going to be killed. Like something's bad's going to happen. Some other kind of creature that's inhabiting the space or the motel itself is going to attack you, kill you, whatever. And it's like, how are you supposed to know how to do all these things, where to go, what to grab, what not to grab? You know, you need to make sure that you keep this radio on the specific station that it's already on. You can tune it so you can hear it a little clearer, but if you switch the station, something bad's going to happen. You need to make sure that you get out of the hot tub that you're in when you wake up, take a look at the pool, and once you do that, get back in the hot tub and then make sure you submerge yourself. The hot tub's then going to feel extremely cold. Swim down in the bottom, grab the object that's down there. Like, what? It's strange.
It was all fake food.
Honestly, I miss this uniqueness from most SCPs now. I mean, it's definitely very unique. It's like, but it's like, my mind is trying to figure out what the purpose is of this. Like, what is the overall goal, outcome, meaning of this? The only thing I can really think of is kind of basically what Kelshman said. This is like, it seems like a rat in a maze, and someone is studying your reactions to the various stimuli and situations that you're put in. That's what it seems like. And it seems like they want to see how you react to it when you're already like tired and your body's exhausted, so that your stress levels will be potentially at a higher point when you're having to go through these. And maybe that's what the hotel or whatever feeds off of, is like stress and fear and whatnot. And I don't know. It's very strange.
Laid out and presented like a typical continental breakfast. He followed the instructions though, ignoring all of it and heading for the man at the table, describing him as an older guy with salt and pepper hair, looking like every dad. The only sound in the room was his chewing and the dead air on the television as it softly played static. The man seemed excited to see him once he noticed him, and started bombarding David with questions once he took a seat. He asked where he was from, where he was going, how long he'd been on the road, and they were genuine and sincere questions, not like the sinister edged ones from the people in the elevator. He wanted to know if David was all right and having a nice time. David tried his best to not feel bad about ignoring all of the questions and just saying that he wanted to leave, although he sensed that the man had heard this a lot. The man was persistent, asking what he can do to make the stay better, asking if David isn't enjoying the amenities, and asking if he doesn't think that this is nicer than having to deal with the troubles of life. David continued to...
Interesting. So it's almost like the hotel is trying to create the perfect environment for various creatures for them to stay. Like, it wants them to stay for whatever reason. And so it's trying to create an environment they think they want, where all of them can interact somehow to get, like, the creatures are in the pool. Like, it tried to make some kind of environment that they want, that they feel that they have, and they want to live there. And maybe they're stuck in there because they couldn't make it out of whatever trials they were put through. And that's why when the other people go through there, they see what they think is a pool, but it's not really a pool. It's supposed to be an environment for whatever these creatures are, and we're just interacting with it. And so, like, maybe this person that Dave's talking to is the actual SCP of the hotel, and it's trying to get some, like, genuine information from them about how they feel about the stay, what they can do to improve the hotel, why wouldn't they want to stay, etc., etc.
To say that he just wants to leave, and fought to choke down the parts of him that were saying that the man has a point.
No, there's specific conditions that have to be met for this hotel to appear. You have to be driving between the hours of like midnight and 4 a.m. or something like that. You have to have been driving for at least 5 hours. You have to be tired, etc., etc. And if these conditions are then met, this hotel appears. And then if you keep driving past this hotel, you get stuck in like this infinite loop where you keep driving past this hotel until you pull into the parking lot and actually enter the hotel.
Eventually, the man got crestfallen, asking if there was anything he can do to make David stay. And after being denied again, he seemed to accept it. He told David to spend the rest of his night and check out in the morning. The man was still sitting there, alone, when David left. When you wake up the next morning, which will be late regardless of when you fell asleep, you should gather your things and leave your room. You'll find that the layout of the inn has shifted dramatically and is much easier to navigate. Several doors in the hallway will be hanging open, and you'll
see, and that's also interesting. So like beforehand, the place was much harder to navigate, essentially trying to keep you there. And now that the hotel has accepted that you don't want to stay there and you want to leave, it's allowing you to get out. It's made it much easier for you to leave.
You'll pass by cleaning carts, as though housekeeping is doing their rounds. There will be no one around except for you, so just head to the elevators and go back down to the lobby. There will also be no one at the front desk, but place your key there and leave the building. Get in your vehicle, noting that the parking lot will now be empty, and get back onto the highway. Drive until you get into contact with your nearest site and report the encounter with SCP-7819. Researcher Taya Andrews notes that the light of day makes things feel a lot different, with the labyrinth of carpet and hallway just feeling odd now instead of sinister. She went downstairs, turning her key in, and finding that the breakfast area was closed again. She stepped out the doors, finding the sun to be shining, and got back into her car. She drove back onto the highway, put the hotel in her rearview mirror, and then as soon as it came, it was gone. She remarks that her parents and her used to take a lot of road trips when she was young, so they stayed in a lot of motels. The crappy roadside lodgings where the rooms are cramped and the prices are dirt cheap, with years-old carpet, unfashionable furniture from the 80s, sinks that stick out into the room, and hard mattresses. They're not resorts, just places to lay your head down for the night. She calls them transitory spaces, where you're meant to come and go, not to stick around. Motels are not home, although they try their best to feel like they're home, just not particularly well. That's why they have such a unique vibe of their own, being corporate-designed spaces calculated to put you at ease. They're spaces for humans to inhabit, but there's nothing really human about them. SCP-7819 embodies that idea pretty well, with something that doesn't really understand humans trying fruitlessly to lure them in, with fractured memories of motel rooms and hot tubs. She sighs and says that she doesn't really know what 7819 is, really, and she can only make guesses from what she experienced. She took a lot of road trips as a kid, and there are some deeply, deeply strange things that live on the edges of these highways. The document then links to SCP-6819, another highway anomaly that only affects current or former Foundation employees, trying to get them to slow down or stop their car and approach a mysterious building. The document finishes by stating that if you followed these instructions, you'll exit without issue, but if not, they don't blame you for staying. This is a very fun article, if not because of the rules and procedures themselves for survival, but of everything that isn't said. We're not told practically at all what are the consequences and ramifications for not following any of these rules.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that's kind of intriguing about it is like, what is the negative side effects? What happens? If you don't follow these rules, will the hotel kill you, consume you in some way, or will it just kick you out? You know what I'm saying? And like, it seems like whatever this SCP is trying to be hospitable for you, and it's trying to do its best to make you stay for whatever reason. And then it's like, what are the consequences if you do stay, if you do become part of this? Are you like do you become one of these creatures? You know, like the various things that are in the elevators, you know, the dude that's kind of like an anglerfish that's you know, seems like a very suave, put together gentleman or whatever, but if you enter the elevator with him, it sounds like he's going to kill you. Or the hiker or whatever that you're supposed to lie to, or the vagrant. You know, it's like, I don't know, what are these things? What do they mean? And what are the consequences if you don't follow the rules properly? You know, I mean, like in real life, obviously, if you break enough of the various rules for the hotel, they're going to kick you out, and or they're going to call the police and you'll get arrested. So it's like, would it be something as simple as that? Like if you want to leave, would it really just actually be something as simple as like breaking the rules and the hotel's like, all right, fine, you're gone, get out, you know what I mean? Or would it be something far more dire?
From changing the radio station to feeling guilty for not eating the food. But instead, it's all left to our imagination.
For real, dude.
We're also not told at all the process that the Foundation has gone through to figure all of this out.
Exactly. Again, another one of my questions. It's like, how many times have people had to go through this to actually figure out all these steps? Because there's no way a single individual would have been able to get through this on their first attempt. Like, I feel like it would be I mean, it's possible, but the likelihood is very unlikely, right? Like, the idea of, okay, even just the idea of getting your room key. Like, what happens if you get in there, you hit the receptionist bell or whatever, but you don't hum your favorite tune? Or you hear like the weird noises coming from behind the desk. You don't go behind the desk to knock on it and get your key, and you just leave. Like, you know, there's so many different parts to this where you have to do the right thing, it seems. And there's so many different choices that you can make that it seems like it's almost impossible for you to do the right thing that it wants you to do to get through this without some kind of consequence.
Outside of the idea that this is simply based on evaluating the data of those that have survived.
And I mean, yeah, I feel like that's kind of something too, where it's like, yeah, if you don't do these things in the specific order, you're just a part of the motel, you're trapped there. Like, that's it.
If they only get reports from people that made it back, and they all said that they didn't touch any of the food on the table, and they also didn't feel too bad about it, the Foundation can safely put that down as a rule. It's likely that there are some rules here that are still not strictly proven as necessary for survival, and there are some unknown factors perhaps, but they have compiled a working survival guide for the phenomenon, effectively beating it at its game. We're also not informed of why this is set up, and why it only affects current or former Foundation employees.
Oh, that is also interesting too, yeah. So it only affects people who are of the SCP, who are aware of the SCP Foundation. So I wonder if it's a situation where, like, a other faction, like the Chaos Insurgency, somehow have set up this SCP or whatever to, like, mess with and trap other SCP members.
Is it something with a grudge against the Foundation? Or is it fascinated by it? Is it just confused and wants Foundation employees to enjoy the experience and stay longer? Or is all this set up on purpose for the Foundation to eventually figure out? Or perhaps it affects all sorts of people, but only those with access to this document make it back out.
True.
We'll likely never know, but it's rather interesting to come across an anomaly like this that a person can stumble into and survive simply thanks to knowledge. Albeit knowledge gained from the losses of countless others.
Yeah, exactly. We get a quote? No quote, god damn it. All right, well, that was SCP-7819, no vacancy. Links will be down below in the description as usual to the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to the Exploring Series channel. Please do me the favor clicking those links if you enjoyed this video. Give it a like, and if you enjoy the content that the Exploring Series puts out, please do me a favor of giving him a sub if you're not already subbed to him. Makes a lot of wonderful content for the SCP universe as well as others. Very interesting and intriguing SCP story. To me, it still very much sounds like you're a rat in a maze kind of scenario, and it's testing your reactions to these various different situations. But obviously, whatever the being is at the end that Dave was talking to, that I guess just looks like some kind of it just looks like what would be anyone's dad, you know, just it's supposed to have this kind of like harmless, calming, kind of safe feel to it, and it's just sitting there eating breakfast and having a genuine conversation, asking questions about, you know, how to make their stay better. That kind of like throws a wrench into that. And then as long as you keep saying you want to leave, eventually it'll be like, okay, you can go. Because it definitely feels like it's some kind of entity or whatever that maybe just wants to not be alone and has set up this motel as a way to like get people to come in. Now, he did say at the end that it seems to really specifically affect SCP members, but he did also mention that it could just be a situation where only SCP members have been able to make it out, simply because they have an understanding of the anomalous. And that at some point in time, it probably clicks in their mind like, oh shit, I'm in some kind of SCP anomaly. I need to then be aware of what's going on. And enough people, it's probably happened to enough people who've made it out to where they then made this guide for it, kind of a situation. So maybe it does affect more than just SCP members, or maybe it is something that just targets SCP members. I guess that's something that they might have left open for interpretation or a little bit of vagueness, but I don't know. Interesting story, interesting SCP, intriguing, but for me, I want some kind of answers and a little bit more closure on exactly what's going on. But I guess it could simply just be that there is some kind of entity there. Maybe it's some kind of multiversal, multi-universal, multi-dimensional being, whatever, that creates motel. Like maybe for humans it looks like a motel, but maybe for other entities it'll look like something else. And it just doesn't want to be alone, so it may, because it seems like there are other creatures and other beings there, and for the human mind, maybe we're just seeing it as a motel and rooms, but for other creatures, they might see it as something else. You know what I mean? Creatures in rooms that are like making weird noises. You know, if you if you enter a room that has a door adjacent to it, make sure you bar it, because maybe some other creature can get in, or there might be another creature that's already in, you know, a bathroom that's in your room, so make sure you bar that, because maybe that creature will come out and attack you. There are creatures in this pool thing or whatever that looked like they were trying to break out of whatever membrane was there. So I don't know, but very interesting, very intriguing. So again, SCP-7819, no vacancy, links down below in the description. If you'd like to come and join the discussions that we do as I do these reactions live with my YouTube members, we'd love to have you guys come in here and join us. There is a link down below in the description, as well as a join button underneath the video. You can check out the YouTube membership benefits and the various tiers that I offer. You can get early access to videos, sub Discord channel, obviously join our live reactions, priority any kind of requests you might want to do, etc., etc. So just take a look at that if you decide you want to take your support for the channel to the next level. We'll greatly appreciate it. But regardless, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like and a sub, as it helps me and the channel grow. And yeah, just greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. Hope you're having yourselves a wonderful day. We'll talk to you later.